we would argue and she would be fine like a second later. And I was looking like, okay, well, I have like a whole 2 days before we're good. But then to her, it was like, okay, we've already talked about it. The resolution is there. So why are you still upset? And it took me going to therapy. And my therapist said, how did you resolve conflict growing up? Like, how did your parents resolve conflict? And I was like, explain that. Like, what does that mean?
Never seen it.
Never seen that. She was like, what do they do? What do they talk about? How do they bring it up? They didn't. Yeah. It wasn't brought up. It was just, my mom would go, you guys hungry? You guys want to watch a movie? And we were like, yeah. And then it was done.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. Today I'm here with content creator Victoria Williams.
Hi.
Hi. And we are talking about her relationship with her fiance and how you guys merged lives.
Yes.
How did you and Lindsay meet?
So I was scrolling on Twitter one day and I saw that she sent me a DM. I had actually tweeted something that was very gay baiting.
Okay.
It was like I was still in the closet, but it was kind of let me just see what's out there since Instagram was more for actual friends and family. So it was like, hey, I don't want to go on a date with a crusty man this Valentine's Day. If any hot girl wants to like ask me out, and then Lindsay actually DM'd me. Pretty sure she was like the only person that DM'd me.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I know. I was kind of just like throwing it out there, you know? And she was like, I'll take you out. And I said, where do you live? And she said Atlanta. And I kind of was like, okay. And then we didn't talk again for months.
Okay. And then how did you guys finally...
I tweeted something about an EDM festival.
You are getting those tweets out there.
I was a big tweeter. Like I was like telling stories on Twitter. Like it was a diary for me. Like my Twitter has some skeletons. But I tweeted something about an EDM festival and she was like, I love EDM festivals. We should go. And I was like, okay, here's my number. She texted me immediately.
Oh my God.
Like she knew exactly what she wanted. She texted me immediately and then we FaceTimed and talked every day for the next 3 weeks.
Wow. And then did you go to the EDM festival together?
We did not go to the EDM festival.
Oh my gosh.
But we did go. I went to Atlanta and I went and met her. So
you drove. How long is that drive?
Driving to Atlanta? No, I flew.
You flew. Okay.
Yeah. I flew. That's like maybe a 10-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, but I flew and we met at a bar and it was the most magnetic experience I'd ever had in my entire life. And the entire night, we could not get off of each other, literally. I had on some jeans pretty similar to this, and her hands were like in my jeans the whole night, like rubbing my skin. And I was like, it was like burning a hole. Like, I was like, woo, thank God there's already a hole in these jeans.
In what ways are yours and Lindsay's backgrounds different?
In a lot of ways. Culturally, obviously, financially, and I think personalities. So the first time that I initially realized we grew up differently was the first time that I actually met her parents. So they were cooking me dinner at their house. And Lindsay, you know, she's just like, oh, it's going to be so normal. Like, my parents are so fun. You're going to love them. And I really wasn't that nervous about it until we pulled up to their house. And I was like, are your parents like the Prince of Bel-Air? Like, where are we? Where are we? And she was like, oh no, this is just my house that I grew up in and I've lived here my whole life. And I was like, this is the mansion. Like, it got upstairs and downstairs. That's a mansion. And she was just like, no, this is my house. And then we go in and one of the rooms has like a balcony inside of it. And she was like, yeah, that used to be my room, but I actually moved rooms in high school. Moved rooms? So it was like that. That was when I was like, wait a second. We did not have the same life. Like, there's a balcony in the house and that used to be one of your rooms. And she was just like, didn't even realize. She was like, yep. And I was like, okay. Because at the same time, where I grew up was literally, you know, I'm sharing like a bed with my brother or my sister. And it was just so interesting because at the same time, when I was growing up, it didn't feel like we didn't have a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my mom took incredible care of us. She did a kick-ass job of keeping us fed, clothes on our backs. We even went to private school, which a lot of people were like, how? When they knew where we lived. But also, like, she worked her ass off and, like, kept us in the things that would help us get us into those doors.
Yeah.
It's like when I played tennis, it even sounds like such an expensive sport. But I played, there was a program in the inner city. Wow. So the program was so that kids like me could play tennis. and go to college. And that's literally what happened. But at the end of the day, my mom worked her ass off.
Yeah.
You know, but the differences in houses was also just one of the biggest things. Like, I just was like, what? This is like a house I see in a movie.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Also, a lot of doors. Like, a lot of, like, when we lived there, my biggest pet peeve was nobody locked the doors. Like, when we lived with her parents, the first probably 2 weeks, I would realize, like, the back door is unlocked, the garage door is unlocked, the side door is unlocked, whatever other door to get into the basement door is unlocked. And I would go around each door and start locking them. And her mom would joke, like, oh, this is a safe neighborhood. And I'm like, this is literally where serial killers go hunting. Like,
because they know that people like you say that.
I ain't never see a serial killer in the hood. I'm just saying. I know where they exist. They exist, what they say, in plain sight in the suburbs. So I would be locking the doors, like, and then everybody else starts to do it. Like, now the doors are locked when we go there.
Well, good. I'm glad that you taught them that.
I know. It was crazy.
Lives.
It was crazy. That's probably the biggest thing I taught them. They taught me a lot too. Like, they taught me a lot. Like, I learned a lot about finances from her dad. I learned a lot about even owning a credit card with her dad. I always saw that a credit card was something that rich people had, you know? And I learned, okay, how to build my credit, how to have better credit, because I did have really poor fucking credit.
Wow.
So, yeah.
When did you guys start to talk about, like, life goals and plans?
Immediately.
That's,
Immediately.
I mean,
that's like the most fun part about beginning a life with someone or starting to date them, is when you start talking about your future. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Also, I like to romanticize life. So I'm also like, I can't wait until we have a house. Like, now that we're planning on having a baby, I'm like, can't wait until maybe a push gifts.
Push gifts, yes.
Like, maybe a baby moon. Like, I start to romanticize it. And not just like the big things. Like, we go to have breakfast and I'm like, wow, look how the sun is like coming in on the table while we're eating our eggs. Like, can't you imagine kids running around here?
Aw,
It's gonna be so
I love
nice.
that. Yeah, that is a fun part about finding, like, the person that you really want to be in your life. Is like dreaming about what can we create and what can we do together.
And I'm a huge dreamer. That's actually one of the things that I guess I didn't think about it before, but she's a realist. And I dream really big. And I also think that came from how we grew up. So she grew up more upper middle class. So I think it's a lot easier to be realistic when you know, like, this is how life goes.
Yeah.
And like me growing up, I don't know, growing up in the projects, I never saw those things. So I always just had to dream about them. So now that I'm older, I'm still dreaming, but they're happening.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm realizing, okay, if I work this hard, or if I start doing these things, it's actually going to happen.
How fun is that, though?
It's so fun.
That's what I always tell Matilda. I'm like, just dream a little. Just live in the magic. It's fun this way.
Yes. Like, when we were buying a house, she kept going, every time we sat and talked about buying a house, she would say starter house, starter house, starter house. The first time she said it, we were on a walk. I looked at her, I said, like, what the fuck is a starter house? Like, genuinely, because she's coming from a family who they have like, they have a house, and she knows a starter house is the house that you start with before you make more money and buy whatever. A mega mansion. I don't know. And so she explained it, and I went, why do we need a starter house? Like, is that what I'm working for? Like, I'm saving to get a house that we're going to live in.
Yeah.
And she thought that I was insane for that. Like, she was like, there's no way we're going to get our dream house the first time. Like, no one does that. And I was thinking, why?
Yeah.
And now we have it. And that was just me speaking it into existence and believing it, and knowing also I'm going to work towards it.
Yeah.
Like, I would tell her, I'm like, I am going to continue to work until I don't care if I can buy it by myself.
Yeah.
We're going to get that house. Fuck a starter house.
Fuck
Like,
your starter
imagine
house.
you were like, I want to get a starter child. Like, what are we talking about? Just have a baby.
I bet my parents would call me the starter child, though. This is the practice one, you know?
Wait, are you the firstborn?
I'm the first.
Me too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trauma in that. There's a lot of trauma in that.
We're
It's not
finding
anything
a
to be
lot of
proud of.
similarity
We
here.
suck. We have like all the weight on our shoulders.
Yeah.
So much.
Know too much. See too much.
It's like, yeah, you make sense.
Yeah.
Once I know that, it's so much more that we're like connecting on. Now that I know you're firstborn.
Yeah. Shared trauma.
I'm praying for you.
What are some of the more challenging aspects of merging your lives together?
Like living together?
Sure. Like when you moving in together, like combining finances and talking about just like the not sexy things. Who's going to take out the trash? Like,
We did not struggle with any of that.
No.
Not for a second. Like, our moving in together was so seamless. We never struggled. We both like to have clean houses, clean spaces. So the house is always clean. Like, I don't play about my house. Like, I wake up, like, if we went to sleep the night before, like, partied and came home and, you know, your clothes are everywhere. And no, we clean up.
Yeah.
Either that night or like 7 a.m., one of us is up and it's already clean. Finances, it was pretty easy. Once we started to get serious, we were like, okay, a joint account, but we have separate accounts. So our finances are, she has her individual, I have my individual, we have a joint. And then we split all of our bills and it just goes into the joint account. And I think it was like a pretty like no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I was like, I don't know why everybody complains about this. Like, it seems pretty easy.
How does the joint account work?
So we both have separate accounts. We every month put the same exact amount. It comes out automatically. There's like something you do on a bank app where it just goes out same day, first of the month. Both of our accounts transfer into the joint account.
Got it. And it's the same amount each
Equal.
person.
Yeah, it's equal. I feel like for us, all the money goes the same place. So I could pay for dinner like an entire month and Lindsay could pay for dinner an entire month. It's more like who has their card out type of vibes.
Got it.
Because it's not like we've never like paid each other back. I feel like that's insane. Because, I mean, my money is your money. If I'm broke, now you have to give me money anyway. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I did spend a certain amount of money and now I have no money, bitch, you better be taking care of me.
Right.
And vice versa. So, in a way, yes, it is split. But then everything else, it's not really based on who's making more. It's just who has a card.
Yeah.
Because if one of us needs it, we'll send it or whatever.
When Matilda and I merged lives, we had 3 dogs. I brought 2 dogs into the relationship and Matilda already had 1. So we're like the crazy fucking doghouse.
Wait, do your dogs shed?
Yeah, they
my
do.
God.
We just love dogs.
Oh my God. That seems so stressful for cleaning.
Do you guys have a dog? What was that like? Whose was it?
So he was Lindsay's. His name is Bryson, first of all.
Bryson.
AKA Carisha. He goes by both.
Love.
But he was Lindsay's when I met her.
Okay.
He's a little morky. He's very, very, he has an attitude. He's a little like, you know, he think he grown. So initially it was I think the biggest thing was him sleeping in our bed.
Oh,
So he was sleeping in the bed when we met and I was really struggling with that because I was struggling with like, this man be outside. He will eat anything. He's all over the place. And he's also in our clean bed in these sheets. And it took me a while, but I warmed up to him. Like now, if she's like out of town for work, he'll like cuddle with me and he'll be there. But like
I'm shocked that you
I know.
got there.
But he's also so smart that like, for instance, I'm not a fan of dogs licking me. Like I didn't grow up with us like having dogs, like you put your hand out and they lick you anywhere. Like,
Did you grow up with dogs at all?
Yeah, I grew up with pit bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we love our pit bull. I would take him for runs with me. Like I would pet him and everything, but he wasn't licking me. He wasn't sleeping in the bed. And the most important rule, he was never going in the kitchen.
Got it.
Never. And he also wasn't going on the couch or anything like that. Yeah. And Bryson was everywhere. He would be standing on top of this couch like a goat right now. Yeah. And I was like, what's going on? This man needs some rules. So it took a while, a little adjustment. I think the biggest things are too, he's smart.
Yeah.
So he will lick the shit out of Lindsay until her arm is raw, but he will not lick me.
He's like learned. He knows his boundaries.
Yeah, but he'll come cuddle with me or, you know, like he's an affectionate pup. But yeah, I think that was the biggest change.
I mean, that's tough. My boxers used to sleep with me every night.
Do they not?
Not anymore.
Wait.
Matilda, yeah. When I moved in.
I'm so surprised. I thought all white people let that happen. I didn't know some of y'all changed your minds.
Matilda was like, absolutely not. She's a bad sleeper. She has a really hard time sleeping. So they had a very
Well, they're also
rude
really
awakening.
big dog bed.
Yeah.
And he snores. So sometimes there are things that I'm like, so a lot of times at night while Lindsay's sleeping, we're kind of having our own little battle. Like
You are duking it out.
he snores like someone's grandpa, like a bear in hibernation. So I will have to like, you know, like you have a partner and they snore and you kind of have to like nudge them to get them to wake up so you can have a second to go to sleep.
I'm the partner that snores.
Oh.
So.
Well, you're
But Matilda
Bryson.
does know a lot about that.
You're
yes.
Bryson then. I literally like will nudge him without her knowing because every time she knows I'm nudging him, she'll be like, babe, he's just sleeping. And I'm like, he's literally snoring. And she sleeps through anything. So to her, it's like, oh, he's just so cute and snoring. No, he's like, sounds like a grown man.
Yeah, this is not cute.
Yeah, it's not cute. And he'll get so like, he has the biggest attitude. He likes to sigh. Like I'll say his name and he'll go. And I'm like,
Like he's so over you.
You don't pay no bills to have an attitude. I ain't never met nobody broke with an attitude. Like, it got to be a tax bracket for this. And that is the one thing that I always say, like, we have a different relationship than Lindsay and him. Like, she's a lot softer with him. Whereas he listens to me. Like, if he gets out, he likes to escape, by the way. If the door opens, he's going to try to bolt. He won't bolt with me, but he will bolt with Lindsay. So the thing is, if he goes and she calls him, he thinks it's a game.
Oh my God.
And now you're chasing him down the block. Everybody's watching. And he's just running, having a good time. He's like, this is so fun. Look at me playing this game. And when it's me, I'm like, Bryson. And he'll stop, look, and he'll just come in the house. And I'm like the other day, he like got out and she was yelling for him and I said his name and he just stopped what he was doing and came on over.
Wow.
Remember that, babe?
Have you guys changed as people since you started dating?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we've been together for 6 years now. So there's a lot of different changes that happened during that time, like individually and as a couple. Individually, even as much as physical appearances, like I've shaved my head. But the way that I carry myself in other relationships because of this relationship is probably the biggest change.
Wow. How so?
I'm softer. And I mean soft in the way that I give people the benefit of the doubt a lot more than I used to. You know what I mean? Like I try to see the best possible thing in people, whereas before, just how I grew up, I was a lot quicker to find something wrong or to have conflict where I didn't need it. So even in how I talk to my parents and my siblings now because of Lindsay, I'm like, okay, like I don't have to get mad or catch an attitude about what just happened or what they just said. I can just figure out a different way to talk about it, or maybe that's their boundary. Like just being more understanding of other people. It's probably been the biggest
Is that
thing.
because you've watched her be like that, or because, yeah?
Yes. 6 years, every day, that's how she carries herself with me. Like in an argument, in everyday life, the way that she handles me, even with teaching me things, the patience, I've never experienced that. I've never experienced someone teaching me something simply because they just want to, and not in a way where I'm made to feel stupid or belittled. It's just like, you know, this is what's going on. Here's how we do it. With cooking, with anything.
I feel like that too. I had a lot of really toxic relationships before Mathilde, but do you find that makes it kind of tough in a healthy relationship because you have like toxic habits?
I found that in the beginning.
Yeah.
In the beginning, especially when we would argue and she would be fine like a second later. And I was looking like, okay, well, I have like a whole 2 days before we're good. And it never happened for that long. But in my mind, it's like, you know, I just felt still so upset. Mm-hmm. But then to her, it was like, okay, we've already talked about it. The resolution is there. So why are you still upset? And it took me going to therapy. And my therapist said, how did you resolve, what did she say? How did you resolve conflict growing up? Like, how did your parents resolve conflict? And I was like, explain that. Like, what does that mean?
Never seen it.
Never seen that. She's like, what do they do? What do they talk about? How do they bring it up? They didn't. Yeah. It wasn't brought up. It was just, my mom would go, you guys hungry? You guys want to watch a movie? And we were like, yeah. And then it was done.
I feel like I've met my twin. This is literally exactly how we talk about that in couples therapy, about how I'm like, well, I never saw repair.
Never.
I don't know what that looks like. So I'm pissed off for 2-3 days. And I'm like, I don't know how to get back.
I don't know how to come back down.
Yes.
The coming back down is the hardest part for me. But lately, I have found different ways to come back down. I did realize that I do need space. Like, even if it's just a shower, I just need to do something by myself because typically I'm able to go, it's not that big of a deal. And also, it's been a huge factor, like realizing that we are a team. So it's, so basically I've been feeling like, okay, when I'm so mad, I look at the situation or whatever we're disagreeing about and I realize she's not doing this against me. Like, we're still in the same team. We just aren't agreeing. So then I'm able to go, okay, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, this is my person.
Because you're still moving toward the same.
Yes.
Goals.
It's like we're arguing about Survivor. Why are we arguing about Survivor? Why are we arguing about
That
Survivor?
one was specific.
Just, I want this person to win. You want this person to win. And then we go, why do you want her to win? And now I have to explain, why do you want him to win? And now, why are we explaining? Why We like to be right. That's a big factor in our relationship. We both have the urge to want to be right.
Yeah.
That's also one thing we have in common. It's not a great thing, but you don't need two people that think they're right all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. What changes have you noticed in Lindsay?
So Lindsay, honestly, the biggest one for her, it's also physical.
Okay.
So she went from feminine to more mask style in the middle of our relationship. So for me, that was like one of the biggest changes. But then also it was no change at all because it was like that same person there.
Interesting.
Like that same softness, just a different outfit.
Yeah.
And then for her personality, I feel like she's learned to, or at least from our relationship, when she could speak up for herself. You know what I mean? Not in any confrontational way, just in everyday life. Things or people saying things that she normally would just let slide, and instead of being like, wait a second, that kind of hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time that I noticed it was recently, where she did it at a dinner. And I remember going like, whoa. Like, she just put down a boundary in front of an entire group of people. And I know how hard she's been working to be able to do that for herself, you know, because it was also her realizing that sometimes she wants to be able to speak up for herself.
Yeah.
You know, and she doesn't need me always there being the one to go, do you want me to say something? Do you want me to talk to them? Because I'm always ready, because I don't play about her.
Right.
Because if she's not going to do it, I'm going to do it for her.
Yep.
I don't know. Just when I noticed it, it was really like, whoa. And I talked to her about it in the car. I was like, did you notice that you did that? And she was like, yeah, it felt really good.
I was going to ask, how did it feel for her? That's great.
She was like, it felt really good. I was like, I know. It feels good to tell people how you feel. And it feels good to let them know your boundary instead of letting someone constantly cross it and you're the only person being affected.
Yeah. It's so cool to hear how you guys have balanced each other out in a lot of ways. And I think that's what relationships are about, is like teaching and growing together and changing and evolving together. And I love
Completely agree.
That's so great. Okay, so we get this question a lot about, how do you keep the romance alive in a long-term relationship?
We love to do anything new. So actually, we just did something really fun recently last week.
What was it?
Last week, we went on a date where we left the house separately. We both got separate Ubers.
Oh my gosh.
We met up at a bar. It was like a bar in a theater, like a movie theater. And we pretended like it was the first time that we met.
Oh my gosh, role play.
Yeah, and it felt really empowering and really sexy. Like, the sexiness is actually what surprised me the most.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, whoa. Like, we were asking each other questions that we haven't asked each other in a while. Like, things like, you know, things like how the things that we're talking about today, almost, it was like so refreshing.
Yeah.
And it was like this reminder and this energy. Like, you know, when you first meet someone and your hands like touch and you're like, oh, snap. Like, there's something there. It felt like that on the date.
Yeah.
It felt like a spark.
I like that a lot. I heard something recently that said curiosity is like the key to keeping relationships alive in any relationship, like with your family, with your friends, because I think we have a tendency to just assume that our partner is our partner and they're still the same today as they were how many ever years ago. And so I think it is so important to ask those questions like, how do you feel about this? And maybe it was something you talked about on your first date, but maybe that answer is different, and to keep like learning your partner in those ways. So I think that's so fun.
And I also feel like a big reason why that date, or I know a lot of people were like, that was just role playing, which I think for me, I always think about role playing in the bedroom. That's why I was like, okay, I guess I can see why that's considered role playing. But the biggest part was also the way that we were complimenting each other. It was like on things that we haven't complimented each other in a while.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, I really like your style. And I'm so used to seeing that style every day, or she's used to seeing mine. So it didn't feel like something that we normally mention.
Yeah.
You know? So it's also this reminder of like the things that we love about each other, like to be reminded about it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like really good practical advice.
Yeah. And we got to Uber home together. So
wow. Hot.
I know.
The date went well.
A little spicy.
I know you guys are in couples therapy. How has that helped change your relationship, and what was the impetus? Like, what made you guys go to couples therapy?
Okay. So for us, it was our conflict resolution styles. We realized that we to resolve them. We were like extremely different, like on the opposite spectrum. Whereas sometimes I wanted to talk about things later, she wanted to talk about them right away. And then it was us kind of going, okay, where do we go from here? How do we fix this? And we were both already going to individual therapy, and we've always been open to therapy. So it was like, how about we try couples therapy? And we didn't mind. Like both of us went, okay, sure. And we also knew that we wanted to go while we're not at a point in our relationship that's where we're crumbling. We didn't want to go while we're already trying to pick up the pieces, you know? It was just like, I don't want to be picking up the pieces to the puzzle. I want it to be a part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Like I want therapy to be this other aspect of our relationship and not the thing that we pull it into when we're desperate. So I think for us to both be in that position and to both agree, and it also, we feel like it's an effort. So if there's ever a moment where neither of us want to go, it's like, okay, are we done trying? You know? And once we started, it was learning all these things that it almost was like common sense. Like you're like, oh wait, I know this.
Yeah.
But then when it's said to you in a certain way, you know, they're using their therapy lingo and they're like, da 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 da, that's a boundary or that's a this, and you're going, that's exactly what that is. But how do I do it? And they tell you or they help you get there, and you go, wow, I'm surprised I didn't figure that out.
Yeah.
Or it's just that third party presence that's kind of helping moderate it, where you go, okay, we were getting there, but now we're here.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes it's not this big thing that we're there, but now we're here and it feels good to be here together.
Yeah. It's just like a tools and a language.
Yes.
To help you get through things that like don't have to get to this crazy explosive point. Like,
yeah. Like one of the biggest things was when we would get upset, initially it would just be like one of us going, I'm so upset. Our therapist gave us a sheet of adjectives, and it was like initially we would like bring out the sheet in the middle of an argument. We're like, actually, I'm not upset. I am. And we're like looking for the adjective. I'm like, I'm embarrassed. Like you're like finding all these words that this is what you're trying to do. This is why we're arguing, because I want to describe to you how I feel, how something's made me feel.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're arguing because something has hurt your feelings. And it's not just mad or sad. It's like all these other things that can help us figure out like, okay, what do we do next? Because now I know you feel like this.
Yeah. Because embarrassed opens up a completely different conversation than pissed.
Oh, completely. And a lot of times that's where my anger is put into embarrassment. Like it's one of the things that I've realized for me, feeling embarrassed makes me feel really low. You know, like it makes me feel really like less of a person. There's like this shame in it for me to be embarrassed, especially as this big, bubbly personality. It's like to feel embarrassed, it makes me feel small.
Yeah. What piece of advice do you have for someone who's starting to merge their lives with their partner and get more serious?
Ooh, okay. Be transparent. Be transparent about every aspect of your life. Try not to hide anything. And trust that person until you have a reason not to. I feel like a lot of people go into things or relationships with insecurities, especially around trust. And I think when you let that wall down and you're just like, I'm just going to trust you until I don't have to. Because also for me, I came from a toxic relationship where I surprised myself with how much I trusted Lindsay. But also it wasn't on her for any of the baggage that I came with in terms of trusting people. So once I fully trusted her, it like released so much, and it was just, we were just able to just be present and enjoy.
Yeah.
And like, it's been like that for 6 years now.
Wow.
Just completely being transparent and trusting. Because also once you like break that transparency and you're not being transparent, there's always going to be something there where someone thinks something's going on because of that one instance that you could have just been honest.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you working on in therapy?
I feel like I'm going to go into the couples therapy thing.
Okay.
I'm working on, or we're working on, being there for each other publicly in terms of a team. So like what that means is if one of us has said or done something where the other one feels like maybe we were wrong in that instant, don't talk about it in public. Tell me later. Agree with me here. Let's be on the same page here. Let's be like a wall here. You know, that doesn't mean that you have to think that I'm right about everything, but let's not have the conversation here.
Yeah.
You know, like let's be a force together, because that's something that I feel like really is hard to affect us.
Like a united front. Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to my embarrassment, like feeling embarrassed. So if I'm in a room with people and maybe I have said something wrong, but if she also agrees, it would make me feel like devastated. Like, this is my
Agrees
person.
that you're wrong?
Yeah. It's like, this is my person. And maybe I am wrong, but don't tell me now and don't let everyone else think. Like, it should be me and her before everyone else is how we've had to really remember.
Yeah. I like that. I agree. I feel the same way. If I'm saying the sky is green,
If I'm saying it's green.
it's green.
It's green. It's turquoise, if anything.
And then we get
But it's
home and we
green.
can have a talk about how the sky is not green.
Yeah, maybe it is blue, but in the moment, it's green.
Yes. Okay, we play a game.
Okay.
It's called You Haul or You Ghost.
Okay.
She's perfect in every way, except for maybe this like one weird thing.
Okay.
She goes on the Creed cruise.
What is the Creed cruise?
Have you ever heard of the band Creed? With Arms Wide Open? Can you take me higher? My
Sing it.
sacrifice. Oh God.
Is there? Sing it.
It's not giving, but
Babe, sing it.
I
You
get
gotta, you gotta sing it. I know you know it. You
Can
gotta
you
sing
take
it.
me higher? Can you take me higher?
Oh yeah, I know that song.
Creed.
It's like in old movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very old. And they do a cruise where they're on the cruise and they play their songs.
I'm gonna say, what was it? You Ghost.
Ghost.
You Ghost. Only because I don't even. I mean, how good can they be for you to go on a cruise?
I love Creed.
Okay, I mean, it's
Who
Ghost.
would you go on a cruise for?
John Mayer.
Really?
Oh yeah,
See, we're different in
that's
that
my
way.
all-time favorite artist.
All right. John Mayer Cruz. Mm-hmm. Okay. She requests a nude every day.
Ghost. That's exhausting.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's a
wants
lot.
to have to get different angles every day. Like, I don't even have that many angles. You gonna get the same picture every day?
I'm on my period. I'm bloated.
I'm not sending you a picture every day.
Yeah.
That's tiring.
I agree. Okay. Every time she drinks, she starts a fight.
Haul?
You haul?
Maybe I'm her. And I hope you don't
fair.
ghost me. So
That's fair. That's self-awareness.
yeah, I just feel like that means that she speaks up for herself. And I
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah. I like it.
Not a pushover.
She finishes her food like really quick and then moves on to eat your food.
Haul, because I'm currently dating that. Yeah, I'm about
Really?
to marry that. No, she finishes her food before I sit down. And then she starts to pick from mine. And normally I don't eat it all, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It works out.
So she's a fast eater.
Extremely.
That's me too.
Like, I actually recently tried to eat at her pace and I was actually choking. And she had no idea.
And I do that too. I'll finish and then I start to eat Matilda's food.
How?
What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine.
But how are y'all eating so fast? I feel like you're not properly enjoying it.
Yeah, I probably need to be more present.
Can you taste it?
Oh, I'm tasting
Okay.
it.
That's fair.
Just very quickly.
That's fair.
Where can people find you?
Instagram, TikTok are Victo_Willie, and our YouTube is Victoria and Lindsay.
Perfect. Cheers. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Cheers to you getting married in October.
Can't
Wish you
wait,
guys all the
literally.
best. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing it with everyone you've ever met. Made It Out is produced and edited by Matilda Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.